Well, thank you very much for having me once more. I want to start by thanking our president for his determined and unequivocal leadership on this matter and other matters in the governance of the country. And then all those who played a role in the rescue of these young ones. I remember at the last Federal Executive Council when the matter came up, he was very categorical. He gave very clear instructions to the security to bring back our children. Today, we have the children back, and we in the education sector are extremely elated about this development. And we commend the efforts of the national security under the leadership of the National Security Advisor, who since then, has been in the trenches to ensure that these students are back to us and back to their families and back to the country to pursue their life's aspiration to be educated citizens and be empowered like any other enlightened Nigerian citizen. Now, coming back to the number, the number is clearly 137, and with one teacher who unfortunately lost his life. May his gentle soul rest in peace. May Aljana Firdaus to be his final abode. And so there's no really controversy about the number now, because yesterday when I went to appreciate the NSA on the matter, he was very clear that the number of students is actually 137 and no more, and all of them are back. So no student has been left behind. So that's the number that we are dealing with. And as I said, we are extremely elated since this incidents happened. We in the entire education sector have been praying and praying and praying, especially given that this is a period of spiritual period for the whole country, Ramadan, and then the Lent, which just passed. And so we are very happy and elated about this current development.
Just you didn't respond to my first part of the question, talking about if the students were actually released by their abductors or if they were rescued by security operatives. What's the situation? Because we know that the abductors asked for a ransom to be paid before they are released. So what's the true picture of what happened yesterday?
I'm not sure I want to go into the semantics of whether it's a release or a rescue. Either way, we have these children back. And it is essentially on account of the efforts of the security agencies who played the role that they played. And the president was very clear that no ransom must be paid, and there's no information whatsoever that any ransom was paid for you to say, okay, on account of that, it was negotiated, there was some payment, and because of it, they were released. So certainly, I would say they were rescued, because release means some kind of voluntary, happy type of thing, whereas rescue and of course the show of force and determination on the part of the security agencies. But either way, as I said, we have the children back within actually a very short time, because you remember what has happened to many other cases in the past where they spent months and months in custody. Now these students were away for about 2 weeks now, and 2 weeks is too long, but 2 weeks was short compared to the experiences we've had in the past. So we really must appreciate our security agencies for a job well done. The Safe Schools Initiative, as you know, it's a relatively recent development in view of the unfortunate attack on schools in Nigeria and in some parts of the world. And it is still trying to settle down, just set up its secretariat. It has been able to put in place some structures here and there, but it is not yet fully in place. And not all the stakeholders have signed up in terms of executing what they're supposed to do, especially at the state level, and then also for the security agencies to establish their full presence across the country, and especially in vulnerable institutions. So we still have a long way to go to ensure, but we don't have the time, we don't have the luxury of the time, because certainly we cannot have attacks on schools, very soft targets, very young people, vulnerable people, happening. So we are ramping up efforts with the security agencies, all those involved. The entire security agencies are now sensitized. They are putting in place strategies. And for this, the community is also being mobilized. There's a training that will be coming out that will be done very soon in respect of communities where the schools are located. The schools will also be, management and students in those schools that are in sensitive places will also be sensitized about what they can do to prevent any attacks and to pass information to the relevant security agency when there's some ominous evidence of some attack on schools. So the entire, and then there are some other fiscal measures that have to be taken in order to ensure that these schools remain safe and for learning and education of our children as the president has directed. So we are ramping up efforts to ensure the safety of schools.
Let me ask, why is it taking so long for all stakeholders to come on board on the Safe School Initiative? Because it has been, it was declared in 2016 and it's almost going to a decade of the declaration of the Safe School Initiative. Why is it taking so long for everybody to come on board to ensure that this Safe School Initiative takes off from the drawing board to reality? And, everything we do, implementation is key.
Great. I mean, it shouldn't have taken us this long, but as you know, this government is just about 7-8 months in place now. And what has happened in the last 3-4 months, I tell you, it's been a lot have been done, a lot of meetings, structures have been put in place. And even now, the security agencies have upped their attention seriously to this matter in view of what has happened of recent. And so there's a complete change in tide and approach to addressing issues of safety in schools. And I believe very, very soon you will see most of the schools, if not all, particularly those in the vulnerable areas, enjoys the level of security that the country wants them to enjoy, because it's extremely heartbreaking, heart-wrenching to see young people picked away from their places. And, we are all doing everything possible to get all our children back to school, ensure every student enjoys the compulsory education provision, which every student is a child of Nigeria is entitled to. But with insecurity, that could affect enrollment. And this must be prevented, must be stopped. And one other measure which we are now doing, coming back to the number again, about whether it's initially whether 132 and 280, nobody was certain about it. The ministry is about to launch a major breakthrough program in generating data on our schools, on our teachers, and on our schools in the country. All schools are going to be registered, all students are going to be registered, so that hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be able to account for every student in every primary school, secondary school, and university in Nigeria. And so that whenever, we hope it doesn't happen, but for whatever reason, for planning, for us to know trends, patterns of education, for us to, for government to be, or any other stakeholder to be able to intervene, we have the data on all the schools in Nigeria. Like what has happened, if it comes after what we are done with what we plan to do, the principal will simply be able to check his register and the record, the data they have in the school, and tell clearly that, okay, we have just 137 students taken. So this government is doing a lot to provide, to set the baseline, for schools, and in addition to providing sufficient cover for the safety and the security of the students while in school.
Thanks, Professor Tahir Baman. From what you're saying that the early EA school in Kuriga does not have
More than a decade, actually.
Well, we keep on appealing to the security agencies to strengthen intelligence gathering and monitoring of what is happening around. A lot of these things depends on intelligence. And right now, that's what we need to invest on. And I remember the Minister of Communications and Technology gave assurance at the last Federal Executive Council of the ongoing investment to ensure that the entire country is covered, in terms of availability of internet, so that whenever such a thing happens, then the security will be able to use the communication facility to track down, such terrible human beings. And actually, even last week, when I was in Calabar to present the president on communication of that university, I was informed of a lecturer who disappeared about a year now. And we've made a report to the security agency because I find it very strange, and some of the places in that university that are vulnerable. So we have this. We
can hear you. Go on, we can hear you.
Okay, so we still have a few cases here and there where students and even staff have been in abduction for some time, and this is completely outrage, is unacceptable, and will continue to encourage the security agencies to deploy intelligence to be able to find these missing people, because it's not good for the image of the country. It's not good for schools. These are very easy target. They are very large number together, and for people to simply move in and whisk people away and then keep them for such a long time, it's totally unacceptable. So with the new initiative and the new drive to strengthen the safe school initiative and the sensitization on the part of the security agencies and their use of technology, which we encourage them to strengthen, and the involvement of the communications ministry, again, to strengthen our communication facilities. I think we are moving into a stage where we can feel comfortable that a lot is coming up.
Honorable Minister, I know we have to let you go. You have an event to go to, but I'm going to ask you one last question before you go. What about the teaching, of students and teachers in those schools, the drills of maybe an alert if in case kidnappers are coming to kidnap them? What are you doing in synergy with the security agencies to ensure that these schools have the drilling mechanism to ensure that they are safe from kidnappers when it happens?
Yes, this is extremely important, and it's the key to preventive measures. And this is where the Safe School initiative is coming in very strongly. First, as I said, to sensitize the community where all these schools are. Because a lot of times there's prior information as to some of these things happening. A lot of them tend not to be true, to be a surprise. Movement of strange people, movement of people, new faces around the areas and in the campuses and all that. And then if they notice strange faces, who do they report to? And then the school management again. Apart from in addition to the community engagement, the school management, for them to keep an eye on the general environment of the school, and then who are coming, who are not coming, and then students as well, when they notice some strange movements around their area, what they should do. And then, of course, the physical facilities of the campus, fencing, and a lot of schools are not fenced in the country. And this is where the state governments need to play a major, major role. We want to implore on them to ensure that all schools, especially schools in rural areas and other vulnerable places, are fenced. And not just fenced, but also provide some kind of ditches around the schools. But ditches provide a better safety cover than even fences, because it's very difficult to cross over ditches with motorcycle vehicles and even on foot. So we want to encourage the state government to play their own role. And honestly, again, talking about the learning environment, if you look at the background and the school in Kuriga, you will not be happy with what we say there, because the facilities really don't speak well about the environment within which these students are learning. Very terrible, very bad structures. And I believe the government of Kaduna State will give some attention to these and many other schools that are in those conditions. And also their excellencies across the country. The rural schools need to be attractive to students, need to be close to the students, and for ease of movement from their houses to the school, because most of schools are no longer boarding. So we need to, especially in the wake of what is happening now, where the spirit of parents and the students will be dampened in enrollment. So we need to keep schools very attractive, and also for the teachers to be safe, to feel safe to go to school and teach as and when they should. So everybody have a very major role to play to ensure that our schools are suitable environment for students to go there, suitable and safe environment for students to go there and learn. From amongst the students, we have future governors, future presidents, future members of the responsible members of society, future scientists. So we have to give them everything that we need. And I tell you, anybody who attacks schools is like striking a knife at the heart of the nation and the future of the country, because that's our future.
All right, many thanks.